It's time for the age-old question. Film school, should you go? Being someone who recently graduated from a master's program in film production, I figured I can give my honest input. So, is it worth it? I know you've all heard the same short and infuriating answer, it depends on you. Alright, to help explain this, first you have to ask yourself some essential questions. What do you want to do after? What kind of career do you want to have? Do you want to work on film sets, television, commercials? And what role do you want? Do you want to edit, write, direct, PA, grip or electric, or something else? Or are you a big enough dreamer to want to produce your own projects? You think you can be the next Spielberg, Nolan, or Tarantino? The film industry can be rough, and depending on where you go, it could mean sacrificing comfort, luxuries, and putting yourself way out there. And to develop your own vision is its own beast altogether. For example, if you want to hit up LA, I was advised to expect expensive rent, living on essentials and necessities, and be prepared to move to follow the work wherever it is. It's not a cozy life, at least starting out. Okay, so you say you definitely want to be in the industry in some capacity. Does that mean you have to go to film school? Not necessarily. First, ask yourself these next set of questions. Are there opportunities near you? Are there film groups to connect with? Writing groups? Enthusiasts at least? Chances are there are ways to reach out, even if it means driving an hour to said opportunity. You can find these groups via social media, Meetup, or just Google it. But are you an extroverted person? Do you love starting up conversations, meeting new people, asking questions, investigating what's out there through many encounters and hours of research? If so, then you could be all set. Just maintain that momentum. But with that said, are you willing to work long hours? I'm talking anywhere from 6 to 20-hour days. My personal record is 17 hours. Are you willing to travel or even relocate where the work is? The more glorious jobs are closer to LA, if not Atlanta or even New York. But there's always smaller work in smaller cities too. I ask you these questions because I have seen many students graduate and then cease any effort to pursue a film career, rolling back to where they came from, returning to what's familiar. It happens to a lot of us, and it's not easy getting your foot in the door. So you might be saying, okay then, well, I'm not that social, I don't know anyone, I'm not so good at reaching out, I can't find opportunities near me, I have no car, no money, etc, etc. So film school is the answer, right? Well, firstly, what do you get out of it? Quite a lot, actually. Now, my fair warning is that this information is based on the school I went to. The reason I chose my school was because not all film programs included the entire package. So research which school you apply to if you decide to go to see if they offer these same benefits. Have any experience behind a camera or lighting a scene? If not, no worries, you're bound to get an overview of the entire filmmaking process from writing and conceptualizing to post-production. If you are familiar, it's a damn good review. Sure, you could learn all the crew position responsibilities online, as well as screenwriting rules, types of cameras and lenses and lights and equipment and how to use the software, yada yada yada. But scientific data from the Edgar Dale Cone of Experience shows how well we learn as human beings. We only retain knowledge so well depending on the activity. Reading is okay, we absorb some, like 10%. Discussing it retains 50%. But hands-on experience is a whopping 75% retention rate. And film school can guarantee that hands-on experience. This is one of the more essential benefits of film school. You'll be working with some people of similar passion and interest, and you're more likely to learn even more from fellow classmates. I wrote and shot a couple of short films before film school. I had limited resources, and the friends I filmed with knew nothing about filmmaking, so it was all on me to run and gun scenes and hopefully piece it all together. But you can erase the hassle of explaining to people what you want to do by talking to students in the same boat as you. They're more likely to understand your mode of communication and filmmaking lingo. Your classmates are only one piece of the exclusive network you get for going to film school. You'll get to know alumni and you can reach out to them. There's a staff hired to help, whether it be equipment, books, or finding projects to work on. You're also going to have seasoned workers in the film field as your professors. Each one qualifies to have some sort of success in the field, whether they have published books, made wealth on producing B movies, or worked on numerous commercials and film and TV sets. They've been there and can advise you based on what they know. It's hard otherwise to find veterans who are willing to talk to you easily. You'll also have company references. Occasionally, local companies might ask for volunteers like working at a news network or a small budget commercial, like a very temporary internship. As a student who's learning, you'd initially be doing this for free. These companies know to search within schools where students are learning the needed skills. Being in film school grants you access. This can apply to job references as well, but more on that in a minute. because you have a shot at many internships. Again, these are often locked away in an academic database, which only students have access to. Even if their internships are more public, they will most likely only take you if you're a student or a recent graduate. These are awesome to learn from and get your hands deep in the real-world workforce. That database I mentioned before is good for exclusive leads to companies, but they're also good for event announcements to let you know what's happening and where you can reach out. Maybe a student needs positions filled on a short film. Boom, another credit on your resume. Maybe there's a seminar with an alum who worked on a Marvel film that you can ask personal questions to. You also have career summits. At my school, it occurred once a year where dozens of companies would have booths and representatives to give out information, take applications, or even possibly interview you. This includes, for me, big names like Disney World, Universal Studios, and WWE. But there's also medium-sized companies and local independent studios too. At the end of the program, you've got the good old career office. The people there are on top of what's out there and hear about lots of opportunities. They might not always be plentiful, but when they are, they can possibly refer you. This is how I kickstarted my freelancing, which I'll advise, definitely bug people. Not obnoxiously, but make it clear to let them know you're interested. Never hurts to send a few emails or make a few phone calls. You also get the chance to make your own projects. Wanted to make a short film, write a screenplay, and have access to equipment? You got it here. It's a major endeavor still to get your idea off the ground. You have to ask around for help. Gotta find crew members, actors, ask permission for lights, a camera, location, and audio devices. And you might find you're much more limited than you thought, and that's part of the learning process. I highly recommend you try to make your own film. It taught me everything. You might need to make announcements on the student database or website. Sure, your classes will give you homework to make short experimental stuff, usually with a concept in mind to teach you a filmmaking principle, and those are good too. But the freedom to tell a story or express yourself and figuring out how to piece it all together is the best benefit, in my opinion, from film school. You also get rental costs covered. So when we had to shoot our thesis film, all the equipment we used, including cameras, lights, war lights, stands, flags, sets, trucks, cables, etc., you're looking at an estimated $20,000 rental fee. Yeah, you can borrow a lot of these numerous times throughout the year. It's a financial advantage if you have a project in mind and if you get all the permission that you need. The biggest takeaway though from film school is the portfolio you walk away with. This is absolutely essential to finding work. Your time at film school is your time to work on as many projects and sets as possible to show you have the experience. I have found places rarely look at resumes. They want a demo reel or some form of portfolio. Now, this is easy enough if you have a solid director reel, writer portfolio, camera reel, editor reel, but if you're focused on being a production assistant, for example, it's a little trickier. You should probably have recommendations from your professors or any heads of departments you worked with. Remember, reputation and word of mouth is also key to finding work. And I'm sure I've missed other benefits, rather big or minute, because every person's filmmaking journey is unique. With all these benefits in mind, I do want to warn anyone considering film school what to expect. You're not guaranteed work. You will need to put yourself out there. Research, work hard, network. Film veterans will tell you that getting in the field takes perseverance and luck, being in the right place at the right time. But if you keep doing these steps, you make your own luck and increase your chances. The biggest tip they gave us was to network, network, network. Which is vague and even a little daunting, but it's sort of true. The more people you know and talk to and work with, the better your chances at a fully realized career. I would rather say the key word here is to be proactive. Don't sit in your apartment or dorm waiting for things to happen. Check announcements, find events, ask your classmates what they're working on, find ways to collaborate, volunteer, or help with. If not these things, make your own project. It's still portfolio worthy. Best story I heard, I had a classmate who knew someone who took that network advice and tossed it out the window. Don't get me wrong, he still networked, but he prioritized his own short films. He made a bunch and had one hell of a handsome portfolio. And it eventually landed him a higher position job out in LA. I can attest to some degree this advice has worked for me as well. So you might be saying to yourself, all this sounds overwhelming. I don't know if this is what I want to do or if I can even handle this. Maybe you're right. This field can be tough, and I don't advise it unless you feel you must. I myself tend to be introverted, but I still made all this happen because it's my dream. To put your heart at ease, I figured to mention some alternatives to being a filmmaker. At least these are some ideas I've considered before ultimately deciding to go. YouTube. It's a much less stressful way to not necessarily be near people and still have power over your content. I've heard the backstory of many YouTubers who were natural-born introverts who just enjoy making videos. Art and animation. I'm an art guy, and I love to make beautiful images and tell a story. I almost did animation and illustration. It's less social than filmmaking, and you can have a lot of creative input, but it is its own beast of time consumption that takes effort to learn and perfect as well. Writing. I had a classmate who was overwhelmed by what was coming up in future classes, and so he switched to a writing program and was all the happier for it. There's a place for screenwriters, novelists, bloggers, content writers for websites, columns, etc. If it's money you're concerned about, buy your own equipment. Work extra shifts, buy a DSLR, lighting kit, microphone, and be on your way to shoot your own film, or kick off a freelance business. Heck, you even have powerful cameras on your smartphones. If you can learn its limitations, there was an award-winning indie film called Tangerine, which was entirely shot on an iPhone. But this is easier said than done. Film groups. There are resources online to find gatherings of like-minded people. I met a group that wrote and made a short thriller, despite a lot of scheduling conflicts. Another idea, find people you admire and message them. Invite them to lunch, ask them about themselves, but don't ask for anything in return. Just learn. As far as finances go for film school, this is not my area of expertise. Just consider that there are loans you can take out. Graduate loans especially allow a larger cap for how much you can take out compared to undergrad loans. There's also income-based repayment plans, which allow you to pay back loans based on how much you're making, which is a great safety net, but the interest will grow exponentially. There's also scholarships and grants, and worst comes to worst, ask the financial aid office for options. Now we come to a brief recap of my personal experience. Ready? Okay. I went to Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. I had a diverse group for classmates, which meant we had all different ideas we all occasionally worked on together. One of my first volunteer jobs was PAing for a military commercial. I found it on the school website. I also got to be a stagehand for WWE NXT. I volunteered on a lot of other people's class projects and thesis films. I had a classmate who started work on a fan Star Wars series. I was in it in the early stages and did some storyboards and script supervised the first episode. For my class's thesis film, I was the producer, which was one of the hardest jobs I have ever done. I scheduled meetings, helped the director organize locations, fundraisers, and ultimately had to turn in what became a 500-page production book. Look at that beast! On the side, I wrote and directed 3 of my own short films, which I hope to share soon once they're out of the film festival circuit. I even had the chance for a little acting and voice acting. Through the career office, I found my first few references. I got an associate editor position with a small studio for a short time. I had 2 long-term clients for interviews and vlogs. This line of work included a chance to meet ex-wrestler Matt Morgan. I also had other random editing jobs, worked as a stagehand for a staging company, did green screen promotions, and did promotional artwork. In between work, I also had side jobs like tour guide for the school and the US Census Bureau. I even had a new job lined up for another studio, but due to COVID, my freelancing has been slowed down significantly. Thankfully, I still have plenty of connections to reach out to eventually and hopefully when this whole ordeal is behind us. Again, I want to note this does not mean you get the same experience. This is my personal journey and opportunities. You're bound to find your own. But my biggest advice from my own experience is to be open to what's out there. Don't turn away any work. Prove yourself through hard work, even if it means initially being underpaid. In conclusion, if this video did not make you scream, "Yes, I want to go," then there's no easy answer. It's expensive and it's hard, or it should be, but it can help you if you're serious. You're gonna have to be proactive and network as often as possible to forge your path either way. But the film school I found gives you the edge. It's a personal journey and your decision is based on you. And my decision was absolutely. How about you? Did any of you make a decision? Did film school help you? Was it worth it to you? Comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your stories. Whichever path you take, here's to living our dreams to tell the next story and live our lives to the fullest. Take care.